My husband asked to open our marriage. It backfired on him. I attracted partners and he didn't. Now he wants to close our marriage, but it's too late. I don't love him anymore. My husband, Leo, 34M, and I, 30AF, have been together for 7 years, married for 4 of them. We don't have any kids, and we don't intend to. 2 years ago, Leo asked me for an open marriage. I was devastated at the time. I couldn't understand why he didn't just want me. I couldn't even comprehend the idea of sharing him either. He gave me the same song and dance a lot of men give their spouses, swore up and down that he loved me. I just wasn't fulfilling his needs. He needed more than what I could give. It was just to spice up our life. It was just cuddles, etc., etc. I did ask if there was someone else. He said no. To this day, I'm still not sure if I believed him. But at the time, I was angry and hurt and said no. He pestered me to change my mind for a week before giving me an ultimatum. Open marriage or divorce. I chose the open marriage. I just couldn't bear the thought of him leaving me at the time. We have rules. We can't bring any partners home. We have to get tested for STD every 3 months. 1 weekend out of the month must be left free for us time. Any money we spend on with our partners must come from our personal accounts. I didn't partake in the open marriage myself for the first 3 months. Leo obviously did right away. He seemed to be gone or out late almost all the time, but he always acted so happy and loving towards me, while I felt like I was dying inside. It killed me to think he was sleeping with other women, and I felt so lonely and unattractive and not good enough. I told my sister, Katie, 26F, and a few close friends everything. Katie told me to just play his game and be part of the open marriage too. If he can sleep around, so could I. I honestly didn't have much confidence in myself at the time. I'm a bit overweight, and I've never considered myself conventionally pretty. I was afraid this would just humiliate me further. Katie and my best friend Jessie, 30F, set up my online dating profiles for me. I got so many matches that it was overwhelming. When I told Leo, he was surprised, but told me to do whatever I thought was best. Jessie helped me choose my first date, and I actually had a great time. He didn't pressure me for cuddles and took me out to drinks and dinner. We did have cuddles eventually, but it was all just casual, and we didn't see each other after a couple months of casual dating. That first guy really made me feel more confident in myself, so I kept going on dates with men. A lot of them wanted to treat me, so I didn't have to spend much of my own money. Not only that, but some of the men have given me the best cuddles I've ever had in my life. Almost like the kind of cuddles you read in romance novels. It's been amazing. I am currently seeing 2 different men, alongside Leo. One, Mark, 38 Mem, is more of a steady boyfriend I've been with for about 6 months, and the one, Steven, 25 Mer, is very casual. Mostly just hanging out and cuddles. They know about my open marriage and other relationships and are fine with it. My husband has not been so lucky. In the beginning, he definitely was. He was always out and about and didn't seem to care even when I started dating too. But now he just complains a lot and hasn't been going out much. He whines about how he's usually the one spending money. A lot of the women he tries to be with want an emotional connection before cuddles. He often wants to be with younger women, but they want younger men. He's also been upset that I go out with random guys so often while he's at home alone all the time. He hasn't asked to close the marriage yet, but I feel like he will soon. He keeps saying he misses us and wants to spend more time together. He tried to initiate cuddles a lot more too. He wants to go on dates and go on vacations and all that stuff more and more, and he gets upset when I tell him I can't, because I've already scheduled to do stuff with my partners, mostly Mark. Honestly, I don't think I love Leo anymore. I care about him, but I just don't love him. I'm not saying I love Mark or Steven, but I honestly feel closer to Mark nowadays than I do Leo. Mark makes me feel comfortable and safe, and I love spending time with him more than my own husband. Steven is funny and sweet and really good at cuddles. Katie and Jessie have been wanting me to divorce for a year now, but I was afraid of hurting him and thought I still loved him. But I think my love for him died when he asked for this open marriage in the first place. Seeing him get all pissy about it now just because he's not benefiting from it is also a turnoff for me too. But I don't know if divorce is the best option. I still care about him, and I still don't want to hurt him. Maybe if he finally asked to close the marriage, we can talk about it then. Relevant comments. Commenter, divorce. You're happier without him. He would only want to close the marriage because he can't get laid, not that he only loves you. Original poster. We've just been together for so long that the idea of him not being there feels weird, which sounds stupid since I have 2 other partners, so it's not like I'll be lonely. But Leo was a part of my life for so long that for him to not be there just doesn't feel right. But you're probably right. I really do think Leo does love me, in his own way. Even when he was more active in the open marriage, he still made time for me, and still did a lot with him, for me. But you're probably right on the divorce. Commenter. Part of the issue is the main relationship is supposed to be the important one, so the whole 1 weekend a month for us time wasn't enough. Original poster. I actually did argue that in the beginning, but he insisted that he needed to keep his weekends free. He did spend a lot of time at home during the weekdays, so in his mind, that made up for it. Commenter. What if he finds evidence of your open marriage and frames you as a cheater and then brings you to the cleaners? At this point, I wouldn't trust Leo. What you're experiencing is normalcy. You're used to his presence in your life. But how long are you going to live like this? Original poster. Jesse had the same train of thought of you and actually took screenshots of his dating profiles during the beginning of the open marriage. She also told me to save screenshots of any texts we had about the open marriage. I don't think Leo would do that, but I also didn't think he'd ever ask for an open marriage. So what do I know? Update 1. Hi everyone. I got so many comments and messages on my last post, which got deleted for some reason, that I was a bit overwhelmed, especially when a lot of you kept saying the same thing. Divorce, divorce, divorce. But the thing is, I think a part of me does still loves my husband. I know in my last post that I didn't think I loved him anymore, but I can't just forget about the things that I do love. I love when he sings in the shower. I love when he laughs so hard he snorts. I love when he kisses my forehead when I've had a bad day. I love when he holds my hand when we watch TV together. Leo has done a lot of shitty things, but he really isn't the big asshole people think. Maybe that was my fault. But even if I do still love him, I'm not in love with him anymore. I don't think I have been for a while. I care about him. A part of me does still love him. But you all were right. I should have just divorced him when he gave me that ultimatum in the first place. This past Saturday, we had the big talk. I initiated it, but he didn't seem too surprised. I just told him that I noticed he didn't seem to like me going out with Mark or Steven and asked if there was a problem. He said there was, but he didn't ask me to close the marriage. He just asked me if I still loved him. I said something like, not like I used to. He broke down, crying, which made me cry. I guess he had known for a while that I wasn't in love anymore, but he had hoped he could win me back if he funneled all of his energy into me. I was honest and told him that during those first 3 months of our open marriage, I think my love for him died and I just couldn't get it back. I did tell him that I still cared about him and that I did love him, but it's not the same as it was. He asked if I loved Mark or Steven, and I said no. I like being with them and I care about them a lot, but I can't say I'm in love with either of them. I also finally asked him why he wanted the open marriage in the first place. A lot of you in the comments said he already had someone lined up, and you were right. He had someone at work he was interested in, and she wanted him too. The open marriage was just to get permission. He honestly never expected me to also get my own partners because of how unconfident I was, but he didn't want to stop me either because he thought nothing would come of it. He didn't really like me seeing other men, but he knew it wouldn't have been fair to tell me no when I gave him permission first. I guess Mark and Steven made him insecure because I was spending so much time with them on a regular basis. The open marriage was just cuddles on the side for him. He only did hookups, and they never lasted long. He genuinely always just loved only me. But he thought I was falling in love with my partners, and he was losing me and wanted to win me back. We cried a lot and talked a lot. We've decided to get a divorce. Since the house is in his name, I'm going to move out and live with Katie for a while. He told me I didn't have to, and I could stay until the divorce was finalized, but I just can't. It's too hard to even look at him sometimes. I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I thought I would be relieved or sad, but I'm just tired. I wish I could have been like you all wanted me to be, clapping back or being sarcastic and snarky or rubbing it in his face, but I don't feel like I've won anything. I just feel lost.
My wife cheated on me with a guy she met at the gym. She's now pregnant and we don't know who the father is. My wife is 30 years old and she's always worked out and been in shape, but lately I feel like it's becoming excessive. She used to regularly work out at a gym when she was in college. At some point she stopped going to the gym, I think lately just due to her schedule, and preferred to work out at home or go for runs outside. About 18 months ago, she announced she was going to get back into the habit of going to the gym. She now had a job where she's able to make more time for it. It started off normal, but slowly became more and more frequent. She signed up for classes on the weekend, both days. She started going to the gym every day, then it became the morning before work, and then again later in the evening. Every single day, if she's stressed, she goes to the gym, experience some sort of life crisis. She immediately heads to the gym. We have an argument, runs to the gym. She's 4 months pregnant right now. I'm kind of surprised we even had time to make a kid. I understand that it's safe for her to work out, especially since she was already in the habit of doing it before she got pregnant. But the intensity is not slowing down. If she misses one of her normal gym sessions, she becomes so irritable, like a junkie not getting her fix. It's just bizarre. Truly a case of too much of a good thing. Of course she gets upset when I voice that I feel it's becoming an unhealthy obsession, and that I miss spending time with her because she's there so much. She has all of these friends and this whole circle of people there that she seems to prefer spending time with over me. Why don't we work out together at the gym? The gym is her time, she says. This isn't a case of me feeling insecure because she's in great physical shape and I'm a fat slob. I work out and am in shape. My job really requires me to stay in shape, so I can't let myself go if I want to. I genuinely feel her gym habits are unhealthy. She's over-exercising, for one. There is such a thing. But worse than that, I feel it's becoming a way for her to escape everything else in her life. She never actually fixed anything that goes wrong in her life. She just runs off to the gym to get some sort of mood boost and then that's it. She also never gets anything else done in a practical sense because how can she when she's at the gym so often? It's to the point where I have to do every chore, and if food is getting made, I'm going to have to do it. I don't expect her to do all of those things, but it should at least be a shared effort. People we know have even commented about it to me. They've said things about how she seems different, how she sure is at the gym a lot, and many of her friends and family barely see her anymore. Some have even suggested she's having an affair with somebody there. Please tell me that this doesn't sound normal to you.
She insists this is perfectly normal.
Update 1. I posted not very long ago about my wife's addiction to the gym. A compulsion, if you will. She spends most of her free time there. She often goes twice a day, and sometimes even 3 times if we have a fight at night and she needs to run off instead of actually talking to me. She won't let me go to her gym, and she refuses to go to mine. Her gym is her place, my gym is my place, and that's just the way it has to be according to her. I'd love to have her come along with me. I've invited her multiple times. She's about 18 weeks pregnant right now. This is our first baby. She worked out like crazy prior to the pregnancy, and she continues to just as hard now. I truly didn't think she was cheating on me. People suggested it in the last part, and I laughed. You can tell she's at the gym a lot, she's in great shape, so she's obviously going there. I felt really confident about the cheating issue, and when I posted 9 days ago, I wasn't even considering cheating. I'm embarrassed to admit that after reading a lot of the comments on my last post, I thought maybe I was being overly confident about her fidelity. She usually always has her phone on her, but she left it in the kitchen counter, and as stupid as I felt, I decided to do a quick swipe through her texts. She had a current text conversation going on with a guy. I recognized the name. The same name of a guy from the gym she mentions a lot. She's friends with a lot of people there, went to one of their weddings last fall. I wasn't too terribly concerned until I started reading the texts. Never wanted to know what the guy's sausage looked like, but I know now. She was only out of the room for literally about a minute or two, so I had to scroll fast. I was furious. She started yelling at me for looking at her phone. I told her she's acting so weird and the gym obsession was really bothering me, so I just decided to look and was ashamed that I did, but I thought I'd find nothing all. She said, it's nothing. Didn't look like nothing to me. She sure seemed pretty interested in this nothing. I wanted to know if she's been fudging him. For how long? She kept saying no. I left the house because I was so furious, but not before I slammed her phone on the ground and shattered it. She was calling me all sorts of names for breaking her phone. She hit me on the back as hard as she could. I left. Went to my brother's house. My brother and sister-in-law were shocked. Although my sister-in-law was one of the most vocal ones about my wife's gym obsession being weird and bringing it up to me constantly. I went home. She was in bed crying. She obviously couldn't call me or anyone else for that matter. She was laying it on thick. I don't know if you'd ever come home. Give me a break. I took her phone to get repaired tonight. She doesn't deserve it, but I still feel like an ass breaking her phone. I still don't know how deep it goes. She won't admit to anything beyond what I saw. Was it just messages and pictures or more? I'm convinced it was a lot more, but she refuses to hand over her phone and is now trying to act like I'm this terrible monster who is abusing her because I broke her phone. Not my proudest moment, but I honestly wanted to body slam her after she punched me. I have never and would never actually touch her like that. Update 2. Today my wife asked me to stay home from work so we could talk. She laid in bed all day yesterday trying to get me to feel sorry for her, but I paid absolutely no attention to her and ended up leaving the house to go to my family's Super Bowl party. I wasn't in the mood to go, but I wasn't going to sit at home with her. It really bothered her that I left. She kept texting me things like, "Who just leaves like that? When something like this is happening, who is that cold and callous that they just leave to go to a party?" I stayed home today to talk to her. She was full of tears. She's so sorry. According to her, she really was going to the gym twice a day because she likes going there. That's where her friends are. Makes her feel good. It's fun for her. She met this guy there and he started flirting with her. Everyone likes him. He's one of the most popular guys there. I didn't realize there were popular people at gyms. She admitted that she flirted back but didn't mean anything by it. She didn't reciprocate very much at first, but he gave her butterflies, and she just found herself flirting back without thinking. She said it felt like when she had a crush on somebody when she was in school when she was younger. They started texting. At first it was just friendly and nothing sexual for several months, but she'd feel giddy every time she got a message from him. She was really attracted to him, but told him that she was married, and there could never actually be anything between them. According to her, he kept flirting with her anyway and said, "Sure, we won't cross the line." Until they did cross the line. She said she had tried to resist it for a while, but then one day they kissed. She admitted to enjoying it, but also feeling that it was wrong. She must not have felt that bad because she slept with him for the first time later that night. She described it like falling in love with somebody for the first time. All she could think about was him. Is she in love with him? She doesn't know. Is this baby mine? She thinks so, but there's always a small chance it could be his. He always uses protection, so she doesn't think it's his baby, but they were sleeping together at the time she got pregnant. She loves me. She can't help that there's just this huge spark between the two of them. She doesn't know if she loves him. She doesn't know if the baby is mine. She doesn't know why she did this. She doesn't know what she thinks we should do. The nail in the coffin is when she said, "You would really leave me if it's not your baby, would you?" She had the balls to ask me that. I told her of course I'm leaving her and I wouldn't raise another man's child. She seemed shocked. She said, "Really? With everything we have and all our history, you wouldn't even consider it?" She can't be serious. I told her no, I would never consider it. She agreed to get a DNA test. She tearfully agreed, like I'm supposed to feel sorry for her about it. I don't know who this woman is. She was crying the whole time, but not tears of an ashamed or sorry person. They were tears for herself and meant to try to make me feel bad. Feel bad for what? That her heart is apparently so torn? Update 3. My life has been reduced to a trashy daytime talk show. The woman who was once my wife, who I considered a classy woman, has turned into complete trailer trash. Today she announced that she's moving in with her affair partner from the gym. She's pregnant, might be his kid, might be mine. She's too embarrassed to go get blood drawn for a paternity test. She spent about a week trying to get my attention, to get me to talk to her, to get me to beg her to be mine. I didn't fall for any of it. I've largely been ignoring her, and when we have to speak, I keep it very brief. We've been living together this whole time, but I'm in a different room now and functioning separate from her in all ways. So, her pouting and trying to get me to pay attention to her and give her a gold star for not going to the gym for 5 days in a row didn't work. Today, she texted me to say she is moving in with him. Somehow I still care about this person. I've already met with a lawyer though. I can care about her as a human being and possible mother of my child without being married to her. Still, it stung to hear her say she was going to be with him. I told her it wasn't a smart move to leave the house. I've even told her she should probably meet with a lawyer. She doesn't care about anything I have to say. I don't think she needs to move in with anybody. I actually feel bad for her that she can't just be on her own. I asked her if he actually knew she was pregnant and wanted to know what story she's been telling him this whole time. She said he knows and he doesn't care if it's my baby. He loves her and wants to be with her. Bizarre. You can't find anyone else? Somebody who isn't a married, pregnant woman? Why would you take that on? Doesn't make sense to me. He's scum, but he's good-looking scum, who apparently is gainfully employed and owns his own home, so you can't tell me that my married, pregnant wife is your only option here. I just can't imagine being a single guy like that and wanting to put up with this baggage when I could have other options. And if this really is my baby, then what? They'll live with my wife and this weasel 50% of the time? I don't know how my life turned into this mess. And she thinks it's embarrassing to have to go get blood drawn? Update, my wife has agreed to a paternity test. My wife moved in with her AP last weekend. She didn't take very much at all. Most of her stuff is still in our house. I still get the feeling she was just waiting for me to beg her to come home, but I didn't reach out to her at all after she left. It was a strange mixture of relief, anger, and sadness. I don't think I ate at all until last night. Just never felt hungry. Drank a little too much. But I'm fine. I'm posting this update because I've received a ton of messages from people, and honestly, it's emotionally draining to respond to each one and to have to type the same stuff out. I just don't feel like talking about her that much. So this morning she texted me to say her AP wants to get a DNA test done, so she's going to do it. Look at that. Didn't matter when I wanted one, but now that he has requested it, she suddenly thinks it's a great idea. She asked if I wanted to submit a sample because it'll be cheaper to have two dads tested as part of one package. I don't even care about the cost at this point, I just want an answer. I don't have to see or interact with them at all. I just have to make my own appointment with the lab to get my cheek swabbed. So this Saturday I'm gonna do that, and we should have the results within a week. I'll take what I can get at this point because it's better than her dragging this out for another 20 weeks. So that's it. I'm fine. I'm going to work every day, trying to function. Just feel stuck in limbo. I miss her. Honestly, I hate that she's there with him. It makes me sick. Part of me does want to beg her to come home. It'll be even worse if I find out that it's my baby and she's there with him, unless he drops her at that news. I won't let myself beg her. I won't play any of those games with her. Update 4. My wife has been having an affair with a guy she met at the gym for at least nearly a year. She's around 22 weeks pregnant right now. She was somewhere around 17 weeks when I discovered she was cheating. She maintained that she was positive I was the father, but then refused to get a paternity test done to ease my mind. We recently had a paternity test done, at the request of her affair partner, and it proves the baby is mine. It's been very mixed emotions for me, very up and down. Originally, I thought I just wanted to be completely done with her and not have any lifelong ties in the form of a full-blown human being we shared. But I was sort of happy or relieved when I got the results. I'd already had it in my mind that I was going to be a father for months before I found out she was cheating. Sometimes I just have moments where I can't believe this is my life, that this is the situation that my kid will be born into, and I hate her for it. She's still living with him. All of her belongings are still here in our house. I refuse to do the work of packing everything up for her. She doesn't seem concerned about taking any her things, beyond the essentials. After we got the news that I'm the baby's father, she texted me to say she's glad I'm the father and that she knows I'll be a great dad. She was texting me new baby name ideas last night. She's tried calling, but I ignore the calls. I only speak with her via text. This morning, she asked if she could come by and get a few things. I told her it was fine, as I've been advised by my lawyer to not prevent her entry from the home, but I told her that he better not be with her. So who shows up with her? The scumbag boyfriend. He walks right on into the house behind her like it's no big deal. She ran upstairs to get the stuff she wanted, and he and I were just left standing there in the living room. He told me it wasn't her fault that he was there. She told him I didn't want come, but he forced his way along. He wanted to talk to me, supposedly, to tell me he understand how I must be feeling. No, you don't know. He told me he knows I probably don't believe him, but he genuinely loves her and knew he probably wasn't the father. He accepts it and then tried to assure me he won't try to take my place with the baby and hopes we can just get along since we're both going to be in her life now. He promises that she's fine, he's looking after her. I told him that I couldn't for the life of me imagine what he wanted with a pregnant woman who is having another man's child, that I found it weird. Then I told him if he didn't get out of my house, I'd punch him. I went upstairs and she was trying to find somebody things in the bathroom. I got mad, asked her why she brought him along, and told her I find it really strange that he still wants to be with her now that he knows he has nothing to do with this baby, and that I refuse to let him have anything to do with my child. She said he talked her into coming, and she's sorry and never meant for any of this to happen, but she's in love with him now. He is supposedly what 30-year-old her is looking for, not me. She's setting up a nursery in his house, and I can set one up at my house, and she has no intention of trying to get full custody or anything like that. She doesn't want to keep me from being involved in my child's life. How generous of her. She went back downstairs and I followed her, and he was still standing there in the living room, and I just walked up to him and punched him. He stumped back and fell into a table. She yelled, "What the fuck?" and ran over to him. I don't even care at this point. As if he's going to call the cops? He deserved it, and it wouldn't have happened had he just left like I told him to. Several hours later, she texted me to say she was sorry about today. He really meant what he said, and he's actually a good guy, and he cares about her, and he respects me. WTF? He respects me? He was screwing my wife in the gym locker room. I was like, you can't be serious. She said, fine, I'm trying to have a mature conversation about this. I can't help that we fell in love. Believe it or not, I'm not trying to hurt you, and I want everything to be amicable. This guy stole my wife, and he's stealing my kid, too. Sure, I'm the actual father, but now they're setting up a nursery together in his house? I've tried to not feel jealous or sad. I've tried to maintain the thought that he's the trash man who picked up my garbage. Sometimes I feel that way, but the truth is that I loved her, and still love her. I don't want to stay married to her on principle alone, but this is devastating to me. Final update. My wife is basically 26 weeks pregnant now. There actually hasn't been much drama with her and her AP. I was away for a long weekend last week, and it was nice to just get away from home for a while. Only really annoying thing that's happened is that I told her I'm being in the delivery room, not him. After everything she's done, she owes me that. It's not his baby. He has no right or reason to be there. I will not be the one waiting outside when my kid is being born. She said yeah, she agreed, and she never planned to have him in there with her. I asked her if she'd told him that, and she said no. I told her to tell him he'll have no part in it. Well, she told him, and apparently he didn't like that, and he started trying to convince her why he should be there. Next thing I know, she's telling me that he really wants to be there and she's the one giving birth, so she should be able to say who she wants there and she wants him there. I suppose he'll start making name suggestions soon, and we'll try to overrule names we've had picked out for our future kids for years. We've talked a little bit, and she told me I can have our house and the dog in our divorce. I'm requesting that we sell the house and split the profit. I already that written in the paperwork. I'm not buying her out of our house, a house that I've made all the payments on anyway. I have a much better credit score than her and less debt. I compromised a lot because she liked this house. I'd rather be able to get my own place based just on what I want and with no reminders of her. And there was already no way she was getting the dog. I already had proof that I owned him, though, so she wouldn't really stand a chance of having a court award the dog to her. It's the one thing I told my lawyer I wanted above everything else, not including any custody issues surrounding my actual human child. Honestly, her AP can have her, but he will never ever have my dog. Not to mention my dog is 100 times more loyal than my wife, and some might even say better looking too. So with the idea I won't be living here in this house for much longer after the baby is born, if everything moves quickly, I decided I will still prepare a nursery here anyway, in case anyone wants to try to accuse me of not being invested prepared for fatherhood. I'm trying to look at the positives. It doesn't matter what colors she likes or what themes. I can do whatever I want. Honestly, we've been together for so long and have lived together for most of our adult lives. It's sort of nice not living with somebody, but sort of lonely too. I have friends and family, but it's hard to feel in the mood to go out or hang out with people too often. They always ask me about everything that's going on, and it's just like, I'm tired of that being the topic of conversation. I got a promotion at work, which financially would have been better had it happened after the divorce, but I'll take what I can get. I feel like I'm living in this limbo right now, and a lot of what I do is always framed around, how will this affect me in the divorce? Admittedly, I spy on them on social media sometimes. Guess I'm hoping to see he's been in a motorcycle accident or something now that the weather is nicer. Hasn't happened yet, but he's starting a new company, and once that's up and running, I can always get all my friends and family to leave 1-star reviews everywhere. Have to find ways to have a little fun. Adding something I forgot. She told her family that we've split up and that she's with this other guy now. Her sister reached out to me to say how sorry she was. Her sister is a dumbass, that sort of thing. She told me that my wife was complaining about her AP. The sex is over when he's done, and apparently he's really selfish with sex. He doesn't do extra little things for her that she's used to me doing, like clearing the snow off her car in the morning and heating it up, or offering to make her food after a long day. He doesn't speak her love language, and he hangs out with his friends too much. This made me so happy to hear. She's secretly miserable, and I find that absolutely delightful.
My fiancé's twin sister confessed she's in love with me, and now our lives are a complete mess. Hey everyone, I'm totally freaking out here and need some advice from y'all. This is gonna be a long one, so buckle up. I'm 29, and I've been with my fiancé, Jake, for 5 years. We're pretty much the couple everyone envies. We have this amazing house, a dog named Barkley who's a certified therapy pup. Seriously, he's been to training and everything, and a life that seemed perfect until yesterday. Here's the crazy mess of a story that's turned my world upside down. So, Jake's twin sister, Lily, has always been a bit quirky. She's 29, just like us, but she's got this wild side that never really meshes with Jake's more laid-back vibe. Think of her as the human embodiment of a fireworks display, beautiful but unpredictable. For the past few months, Lily has been crashing at our place while she's in between jobs. I never had a problem with it. In fact, I thought it was kinda sweet that we were all bonding more. But holy crap, was I wrong. It all started last Saturday. Jake and I were hosting a little barbecue in our backyard. It was one of those perfect summer days. The sun was shining, the smell of grilled burgers was wafting through the air, and Barkley was busy being his adorable self, begging for scraps. The whole gang was there, my best friend Claire, Jake's buddy Mike, and of course, Lily. Everything was going great until Lily pulled me aside, looking all serious and crap. "Hey, can we talk for a second?" she asked, her voice shaky. Sure. What's up?" I replied, trying to keep the conversation light. I thought she might need some help with something, maybe a recipe or how to deal with the neighbor's cat that kept stealing our birdseed. We moved to the side, away from the chatter. That's when she dropped the bomb. "I've got to tell you something, and it's gonna sound insane, but I need you to know it's true. I'm in love with you." I froze. My mind did this weird reset thing, like my brain had just encountered a Windows blue screen of death. I must have looked like a deer caught in headlights because Lily's eyes got all wide, and she started to ramble. I know it sounds crazy, and I know you're with Jake, and he's my brother, but I can't help it. I've tried to ignore it, but it's like this giant elephant in the room, and it's suffocating me. My mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. I couldn't even muster a, "What the frick?" I mean, who says that? But then I thought, okay, maybe she's just drunk, or maybe she's joking. But no, her eyes were serious, and she looked like she was about to burst into tears. I managed to mumble, "Lily, this is a lot. Are you serious right now?" She nodded. "Yes, I am. And I know you probably think I'm crazy. But I need you to know that I'm not messing with you. I've been in love with you for as long as I can remember. Before you and Jake even got together. Before high school, even. I tried to push it away, but it's like a part of me now." My brain was still trying to process this, but Lily's confession was just the beginning. My heart was pounding like a drum solo in a rock concert, and all I could think was, what the actual heck? Before I could even begin to form a coherent response, Jake walked up. "Hey, what's going on over here?" He looked from Lily to me, and his face turned from normal to confused in about 2 seconds flat. Lily took a deep breath, like she was about to dive into a pool of ice water. "Jake, I need to tell you something too. I'm in love with your fiancée. I've loved her for years, and I can't keep it inside anymore." Jake's face went from confused to pale as a ghost. "What? Lily, what are you talking about? This isn't funny." Lily grabbed my arm. "I'm not joking, Jake. I'm serious. I've tried to stay away, but I can't. I want her, and I don't know what to do." Jake stood there, staring at us, his mouth opening and closing like he was about to say something, but no words came out. Then he turned and walked away, leaving Lily and me standing there, completely dumbfounded. It felt like the world had tilted off its axis. Claire, who had been eavesdropping from a distance, came rushing over. "What the heck just happened? Did Lily just confess to you? What's going on?" I shook my head, feeling like I was in some kind of bizarre dream. I don't even know anymore. This is insane. Lily just told me she's in love with me, and Jake's freaking out. I don't know what to do, Claire. This is beyond messed up. Claire put a hand on my shoulder. Okay, first things first, let's all take a deep breath. This is a lot to process. Let's just sit down and talk about this. We'll figure it out, okay? We moved to the patio, where everyone else was still enjoying the barbecue, oblivious to the bombshell that had just dropped. Claire and I sat on the deck, trying to make sense of everything. I felt like I was on a roller coaster, and the track had just disappeared into thin air. A few minutes later, Jake came back, looking like he'd aged 10 years in the span of 5 minutes. He sat down across from us, his eyes red-rimmed and tired. I don't know what to say. This is just a lot. Lily, why didn't you tell me before? Why now? Lily, who was now sitting next to me, looked down at her hands, her voice barely a whisper. I was scared, Jake. I thought I could bury it deep down and make it go away. But it didn't. It just grew and grew, and now I can't ignore it anymore. I had to tell you, even if it meant everything falling apart. Jake ran a hand through his hair, looking like he was about to pull it out. I don't even know how to process this. You're my twin sister. You're supposed to be my other half. And you're in love with my fiancé? It's so messed up. I could see the pain in Jake's eyes, and it broke my heart. But at the same time, I couldn't ignore what Lily had said. I mean, how do you deal with something like this? It felt like my entire life had turned into a soap opera. After what felt like an eternity, Claire spoke up, breaking the heavy silence. Okay, we need to figure this out. This is not something that can be ignored or swept under the rug. Lily, you need to give Jake some space to process this. And your name, you need to think about what you want. This is a huge, massive deal, and we need to handle it with care. I nodded, trying to keep my head above the tidal wave of emotions. I don't know what I want. I love Jake, but I can't ignore what Lily just told me. This is like a freaking tornado in my life. I never saw this coming. How the heck do you even deal with something like this? Jake stood up, looking lost. I need some time alone. I can't think straight right now. I'll be in the guest room. And with that, he walked away, leaving Lily, Claire, and me sitting there, feeling like we were in the middle of a never-ending storm. We spent the rest of the evening trying to make sense of everything. Claire and I talked for hours, going over every detail, every possible scenario. Lily was silent for most of it, her eyes red from crying. I felt like I was in some kind of weird, messed up dream, and I just wanted to wake up. The next morning, Jake still hadn't come out of the guest room. Lily and I were sitting in the kitchen, sipping on coffee that tasted like sadness. Claire had gone home to give us some space, and it was just the two of us, in the quiet chaos of our lives. Lily broke the silence. I don't know what to do. I feel like I've destroyed everything. Jake and I have always been so close, and now I've ruined everything. I reached across the table, taking her hand. You didn't ruin anything, Lily. You just told the truth. It's not your fault that you have feelings. It's just a really crappy situation. Lily nodded, wiping away another tear. But what if Jake never forgives me? What if he hates me? I can't lose him. He's my twin. He's everything to me. I squeezed her hand, trying to be strong for both of us. Jake is hurting right now. But I believe in him. I believe that he'll come around. We just need to give him time and space. And we need to figure out what we want. I don't have any answers, Lily, but we'll get through this. Somehow. The day dragged on, with Lily and I doing our best to keep busy. I tried calling Jake a few times, but he didn't pick up. Barkley seemed to sense the tension, sticking close to us and offering his furry comfort. It was like living in a pressure cooker, waiting for it to explode. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get more complicated, my phone rang. It was my mom, who never called unless it was something important. My heart sank as I answered, fearing more bad news. Hey, Mom. What's up? I tried to keep my voice steady. Sweetie, I need to tell you something. It's about your dad, she said, her voice trembling. My stomach did a flip. What happened? Is he okay? He's fine, but well, he's been seeing someone else. I just found out. We're getting a divorce. It felt like someone had punched me in the gut. What? Mom, are you serious? How long has this been going on? For a while, it seems. I'm so sorry to drop this on you, but I didn't know who else to talk to. Your dad and I, it's over. I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I can't believe this. I'm so sorry, Mom. Do you need me to come over? No, sweetie. Just take care of yourself. We'll get through this, okay? Okay, Mom. I love you. I love you too. I hung up, feeling like the universe had decided to dump every possible problem on me at once. First, Lily's confession, then Jake's disappearance, and now my parents' divorce? It was like a bad soap opera that just kept getting worse. Lily looked at me, concern etched on her face. What happened? Is everything okay? I shook my head, trying to hold back the tears. No, everything is not okay. My parents are getting a divorce. My dad's been cheating on my mom. I can't handle all of this right now. Lily got up and hugged me, and I finally let the tears flow. It felt like everything was falling apart, and I didn't know how to fix it. As the days went by, things didn't get any easier. Jake was still holed up in the guest room, refusing to talk to anyone. Lily and I tiptoed around the house, trying to avoid any more confrontations. My mom called every day, her voice full of sadness and regret. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of problems, with no lifeline in sight. Then, one evening, Jake finally emerged from the guest room. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. He sat down at the kitchen table, and Lily and I joined him, waiting for him to speak. I've been doing a lot of thinking. He began, his voice hoarse. This is the most messed up thing that's ever happened to me. I feel betrayed, hurt, and confused. But I love you both, and I can't just walk away from this. Lily and I exchanged a hopeful glance, but Jake held up a hand. That doesn't mean everything is okay. We need to figure out where we go from here. I need to know if this is something we can work through or if it's something that's going to tear us apart. I took a deep breath, trying to gather my thoughts. Jake, I love you. I've always loved you. But Lily's confession has thrown everything into chaos. I don't know how to move forward, but I know I don't want to lose you. Lily nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Jake. I never wanted to hurt you. I just couldn't keep it inside anymore. But I understand if you hate me. I wouldn't blame you. Jake sighed, running a hand through his hair. I don't hate you, Lily. I just need time to process all of this. We need to take things one step at a time. Maybe we should try couples therapy. All three of us. To figure out how to move forward. The idea of therapy sounded both terrifying and hopeful. But if it meant saving our relationships, I was willing to try. Okay, Jake. Let's do it. Let's try therapy. We owe it to ourselves to give it a shot. Lily nodded in agreement. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right. I promise. So that's where we are now. Stuck in this weird, complicated mess of emotions and confusion. We've scheduled our first therapy session for next week, and I have no idea what to expect. I'm scared, but I'm also hopeful. Because despite everything, I still love Jake and Lily. And I believe that maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to make this work. Update. I wanted to give you all an update on the wild ride that is my life right now. Thanks so much for the outpouring of support and advice from my last post. I read every single comment, and it helped me feel a little less alone in this crazy situation. So, here's what's been happening since then. Our first therapy session was last Tuesday. Jake, Lily, and I went in with a mix of hope and anxiety, not really knowing what to expect. We found a therapist, Dr. Harris, who specializes in unconventional family dynamics, which, let's face it, describes us perfectly right now. Dr. Harris was this middle-aged woman with kind eyes and an aura of calm that made me feel like maybe, just maybe, we could get through this. She started the session by having us each explain our perspective on the situation. It was tough hearing Jake talk about his hurt and confusion, and even tougher hearing Lily express her guilt and love. When it was my turn, I broke down a bit, talking about how torn I felt between the two people I loved most. Dr. Harris didn't have any magic solutions, but she did give us some exercises to work on at home. One of them was to write letters to each other, expressing our feelings without interruption. It sounded cheesy, but we agreed to give it a try. Over the next few days, we wrote our letters and shared them during our second session. It was an emotional roller coaster, but it also felt like we were starting to untangle the mess of feelings. Jake's letter talked about his fear of losing his twin sister and his fiancée. Lily's letter was full of regret and love. And mine, well, I poured my heart out about the confusion and pain I was feeling. Dr. Harris also suggested we spend some time apart to get a clearer perspective. So, Jake moved in with his buddy Mike for a while, and Lily decided to stay with her friend Emma. It was weird and lonely at home without them, but it gave me some much-needed space to think. During this time, my mom's situation also took a turn. She called me one night, sounding more upbeat than she had in weeks. "Sweetie, I've decided to take a trip. I need to clear my head and figure out what I want. I'm going to Italy." Italy? My mom, who had barely left our small town in years, was going to Italy? Mom, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. Are you going alone? Well, not exactly, she said a bit hesitantly. Remember your dad's old friend, Tom? We reconnected recently, and he's been really supportive. He's coming with me. This was a lot to process. My mom was going on an adventure, and she had a new friend who was coming along. It made me happy for her, but also reminded me how much my own life was in turmoil. Still, it was a good distraction, and I was excited for her. Then, just when I thought things were starting to settle down, I got an unexpected visitor. It was a rainy Friday evening, and I was curled up on the couch with Barkley, watching some mindless TV to take my mind off things. The doorbell rang, and I opened it to find Claire standing there, drenched from the rain and looking like she had seen a ghost. "Claire, what's wrong? Come in, you're soaked." She stepped inside, her eyes wide and frantic. "I need to talk to you. It's about Jake." My heart skipped a beat. "Is he okay? What happened?" Claire took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. "He's fine physically. But he told me something, and I didn't know who else to turn to." We sat down on the couch, and she started to explain. Apparently, Jake had been confiding in her about everything that was going on. That wasn't surprising, they were close friends, after all. But what she told me next left me reeling. Jake's been talking to someone else, someone from his past. An old flame, I guess you could say. Her name's Sarah, and she reached out to him when she heard about what was happening. They'd been talking a lot, and he admitted to me that he's starting to have feelings for her again. I felt like the floor had been pulled out from under me. What? Jake never mentioned anything about Sarah. Who is she? Claire looked down, her hands twisting in her lap. She was his high school sweetheart. They broke up before he met you, but they were really serious back then. I think he's feeling vulnerable and confused, and Sarah is just adding to that confusion. This was the last thing I needed to hear. Just when I thought we were making progress, another complication had entered the mix. I felt a wave of anger and sadness crash over me. Why didn't he tell me? We're supposed to be working through this together. Claire sighed. I think he's scared, and he doesn't want to hurt you more than he already has. But you need to talk to him about it. You deserve to know what's going on. I nodded, feeling a mixture of dread and determination. You're right. I'll call him and ask him to come over. We need to talk about this. That night, Jake came over, looking as tired and conflicted as I felt. We sat down at the kitchen table, the same place where all this chaos had started. I heard you've been talking to Sarah. I began, trying to keep my voice steady. Jake looked surprised but didn't deny it. Yeah, she reached out to me. We've been talking, but it's not what you think. I'm just trying to figure things out. I felt a lump in my throat. Why didn't you tell me? We're supposed to be working through this together, Jake. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. I didn't want to add more to your plate. You've been dealing with so much already. Sarah is she's a reminder of a simpler time. But it's not like I'm running off with her. I'm just confused. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm of emotions inside me. I understand you're confused, Jake. We all are. But if we're going to make this work, we need to be honest with each other. No more secrets. No more hiding. Jake nodded, his eyes filled with regret. You're right. I'm sorry. I should have told you. Let's go to our next therapy session and talk about this. All of it. And so, that's where we are now. Back in therapy, trying to untangle the web of feelings and confusion that has taken over our lives. It's not easy, and some days it feels like we're just spinning our wheels. But we're trying. We're fighting for our relationships, for our future. As for my mom, she's having the time of her life in Italy. She sends me pictures every day, and she looks happier than I've seen her in years. It's a small ray of sunshine in the midst of the storm.
My husband is going out of town for 2 weeks and he is forcing me to wear a tracking device. He is so controlling and I want out. I, 29F, have been married to my husband, 30M, who I'll call Alex. Alex and I met in college during our freshman year. We started off as just friends and got married 7 months ago. I've gotten along with his family, but we aren't super close, but we're friendly enough. The problem is that Alex has begun to make me incredibly uncomfortable. Firstly, he's begun to ask me who I'm meeting with, where, what we plan on doing, how long every single time I leave the house without him. At first, I just thought he was being protective and a good partner just in case something happened. But then he started checking my phone after the visits, vetting and researching each of my friends as well. He also has been pursuing me to link my bank account to his, as he's in charge of the finances when he was perfectly fine with keeping them separate before. We fight about it almost every day. Finally, yesterday, when he was preparing to go on a work trip for 2 weeks in California, he demanded I wear a tracker so he could keep an eye on me while he's gone. I can't do this anymore, I feel like I'm suffocating, and his family, who I've spoken to about his worrying behavior, just said he's being careful and protective as a good husband should. I need to gather my things together and find a way to be gone before he gets home without tipping him off. He's always threatened that if he ever found me cheating on him, he'd turn in divorce papers the same day. He keeps a filled-out copy in his desk. I'm going to submit those the day I leave, but there's so much to do. Finding a new place to live, seeing if my job has any transfers available, packing and moving in 2 weeks. His return flight May 11th, so I need to move quickly. I'm posting here because I don't have any close family, and I can't risk dragging my friends into this as we share the same friends. I just needed a place to vent and ask if anyone has any advice on the easiest and safest way to do this. Edit. I'll check for cameras before I start any packing or prepping. I may also shred his divorce papers just in case and look into getting a lawyer for myself. I'm in a no-fault divorce state, that much I so remember, which will help. I'll update again when I know more. The tracker he wants me to use is a small clip to put on the belt or waistband. I'll wear it unless I'm going or doing something related to me leaving. No pets yet, thankfully. Update. So I've gotten a lot of support and helpful advice, along with questions I thought I should clarify before I proceed with the update. Some asked why I'd be hiding things from Alex regarding going out and who I'm meeting with. I don't, and I have nothing to hide. However, when he begins to then double-check everything I tell him with the other people there, right down to each person I talked to and what I said. Did I send any text MSGs? Did I order food? How much did I eat? That's when it started to feel like I was slowly being pushed into a corner. It didn't start that bad, but gradually grew worse over time. All of the online subs my in-laws' families are part of are related gardening and DIY, so I highly doubt they'll see this. If so, by the time they do, I'll hopefully be gone. I talked to my job and explained things to my manager, and they promised to look into openings in other states to see if they could get me into one. They'll have an update on that in 3 days. I trust that my bank account is secured, considering he's tried to get into it before and failed. I found one camera in the kitchen, another in the living room, and one in our bedroom. As such, I've left them in place for now and done all other planning, either in the bathroom pretending I'm taking a bath. I'm honestly staying away from the domestic violence services, as my sister-in-law is unfortunately higher up in those considering she volunteers there, and I have a feeling if I did show up there, they would know in a heartbeat. I can't look for apartments until I get the update from my work, but either or I'm still going to be leaving the state. The day before I do, I will be changing my number carrier and wiping my laptop and all of his electronics before I do. I've met with 2 lawyers so far and had them look over the paperwork. My husband had prepared and both said that it have some clauses in it that could have caused me some trouble down the line. What alarmed all of us closed the fact that several of those clauses dealt with future children, and not as a hypothetical. Like several hairs suggested, I have a feeling he fully intended on getting me pregnant to keep me trapped and tied to him. There are 3 other locations my job could send me to, and I have, as a precaution, begun looking into all 3 cities and housing in the areas, just in case one of those, this is the one they send me to. Even if they don't have an opening that they can push me into, then I will just have to quit, move, and figure things out on my own. I have enough money to live and survive for a few months until I can pick up another job. Unfortunately, all of our friends are mutuals and would likely be unaware of the consequences of saying or sharing anything I do or say with my husband. I don't have any surviving close family, and obviously my in-laws are not a good resource to rely on. I am on my own, unfortunately, other than the wonderful bonds I've begun to make here. I will update again if I get more information or something else happens. Otherwise, I'll update when my work gets back to me. I do plan on leaving before he returns, though, just to make sure that I'm not anywhere near here at that time. Update 2. Good news. My work has an opening I qualify for that will not only shift me across the country, but also comes with a salary increase as well. I've started telling my in-laws and friends that I'm planning a surprise outing for when my husband gets back for just the two of us. This way, people don't give me odd looks if they see me out and about. I've even gone as far as asking MIL to show me his favorite recipes. Meanwhile, I've found a moving company that, while small, is willing to work in a storm. The reason is, in 5 days, we're supposed to get hit with a large storm front. I plan to shut off the breaker and say we lost power if he asks, just as several people here suggested, and even send him a short clip of the storm. I will have all of my stuff moved that afternoon, and I will be flying out once the weather has cleared enough to do so. I have a lawyer who will push my divorce through, and I've filled out the necessary paperwork so that I don't have to be here for it. I'm not suing for assets or alimony, and I've shredded his divorce papers as well. I've set up a cheap payphone plan through Cricket until this is all said and done, at which point I will find a new carrier, number, and phone. This one is being wiped and left behind. My laptop is provided by my work, and the IT department inspected it thoroughly and it was clean, thankfully. No other electronic aside from my laptop and new phone will be coming with me. If Alex needs to talk to me, he can do it through my lawyer. Not sure if anything else will happen. My fingers are crossed that he doesn't think anything's amiss until after I leave. And I'm not turning the breaker back on when I do. He can when he gets home. My work is covering the plane ticket, so that at least is one expense I don't have to finagle in. Update 3, it's been a busy week, but I've gotten so much done. Firstly, I'm now out of the house and I'm currently in a hotel while I look for an apartment. It's a big city, bustling with people no matter where you look. We had a pretty bad storm system hit back home that actually lasted 2 days. High winds, thunder, lightning, and even hail everywhere. I didn't take much from the house, my documents, clothes, and important sentimental items. I left all of the furniture and electronics behind. I cleaned the house top to bottom and took pictures on my phone so he couldn't claim I damaged anything when I left. My lawyer has already started divorce proceedings and my husband will be served on the 8th. His plane is due to land early morning and the sheriff will be there at the house waiting for him. He is very much about public appearances and reputation. My lawyer will be calling him as well to inform him that I am more than willing to air out everything to the public about his actions if it means securing my freedom from him. I will go to court as long as I must to get this pushed through. I haven't told our friends or his in-laws yet. I will do that while he is on the flight to prevent him from getting wind of it before he's handed the divorce papers. I will be calling around and explaining why we're getting divorced to try and prevent him from twisting this into somehow being my fault. I don't want him trying to claim I had an affair or something, so I want to get the truth out before he can twist this. I'm doing okay. I'm tired, but yet I feel almost jittery and off-kilter. I keep looking over my shoulder and monitoring what I say, even when I don't really need to anymore. Hopefully that will fade soon. My work is covering the cost of the hotel, and I'm working on getting my other things in order. I also need to find a new GP as I want to get a full test, just to make sure everything is okay. I don't know when my next update will be, probably when the divorce papers are filed or if we have to go to court to push them through. I will try to keep my head up, but it feels like I'm in a whirlwind or something with so many things to do and think about. I kind of thought it would be easier once I got out of the house, but while the fear is smaller, somehow the number of tasks only seems to have grown. Update 4. Sorry I haven't updated for a while, things got hectic and a bit chaotic, honestly. Firstly, I'm working on getting an apartment still and have applications in at 3 different places, and will hopefully hear back from them soon. I'm still going into work here at the new location, so I don't have to worry about burning through my emergency savings completely. I've gotten a lot of emails from Alex, his family, and our old friend group asking question after question. I have only sent one return email to Alex, explaining that I don't believe we are truly compatible, and it is best we separate now. That his treatment of me when I'd done nothing to deserve as such was just as much of a deal breaker as cheating was for him. I ended the email with the statement that I would not be contacting him further, and anything else he needed to pass on to me or vice versa would be done through my lawyer. For his family and friends, I just typed up one email outlining everything that had happened and why I left. I told them I wished them no ill will, but that such treatment of his wife and partner was not acceptable. That should Alex get remarried in the future, I wish they would help support both partners and not just Alex. Alex, from what my lawyer told me, was livid when he was served. The sheriff actually ended up booking him for assault on an officer and menacing due to the threats he was shouting. His father bailed him out in a few hours, but with the testimony of the sheriff, my lawyer believes I have a very good chance at getting a restraining order. Alex, upon returning to the house, apparently lost his temper again, breaking the dining table into pieces as well as the TV and putting several holes in the walls. At least that's what one of the emails from one of our friends reported, as Alex called him to help him clean up the mess. My lawyer already has pictures of the house I took, with timestamps as evidence nothing had been damaged by me. My friend reported that Alex tried to claim I'd been the one to trash the house, but the holes in the wall were at head height. Alex is 6'3", and I'm 5'4", so he knew that was false. Either way, taking the pictures definitely will help me. So again, thank you everyone here for the advice, because I never would have thought of that on my own. My work won't share details of where I am, as I do work with some higher-end clientele who value security, and that information won't be gossiped about, and no, I'm not some stripper or escort. I deal with contracts, notary, and business management. As such, even if Alex tried to use my work to find me, he wouldn't succeed. Final update. It's been a little bit, and I thought I'd answer some questions before giving my update. It may be a while after this until things change. Firstly, no, I didn't bring my car. The public transport here is good enough to use without needing one. I have secured an apartment and the building has good security. You need a key card to enter, and there is a security guard at a desk right by the entrance to the building. As part of my contract, I gave them a photo of Alex and his family, so that even in the off chance they do find me, they won't be let in. The responses I got from the emails varied. His family said I was overreacting, and that I owe Alex an apology for the problems this has caused him. The pending criminal charges puts him at risk of losing his job if he's convicted. Alex sent a long email, apologizing and pleading for me to come home. He said he was worried for me, that he is willing to go to therapy if it will appease me. He wants us to remain together, and he didn't think leaving was an appropriate response to his genuine concern and worry for my health and safety. The friends gave somewhat lacking replies, saying that they didn't think Alex was ever going to hurt me, and that I shouldn't be letting my imagination run away wild. As much as I want to say I was surprised by the lack of support, I'm honestly not. He intends to fight the divorce. I am letting my lawyer handle it, and I am also pursuing a protective order as well. Once I got approved for my apartment, I also froze my credit. I've changed my phone carrier and number, as well as making sure none of my documents list Alex as next of kin or POA. Some have asked why I was so paranoid about Alex and his possible future actions. The answer for that actually is somewhat simple. My grandmother. I loved that woman to bits. As a teen, she explained why my grandfather was never around. He was extremely abusive and manipulative, and her generation didn't allow divorce, really. She wouldn't have been able to buy a house or get a good enough job to support her and my mother on her own. As such, she endured it, shielded my mom as she could until my grandfather died. When I felt like I may have been overreacting, I remembered how she'd said she'd always wished she'd been able to see grandfather for what he was early on, when she may have been able to annul the marriage.